Hi, Ed Beckley here again, and another email in which we're talking about the evolution of consciousness. In this email, or this video, we're going to be talking about the heart. Now, even though I've separated it out in an email, a separate email, the heart actually permeates each and every one of these areas. It's the feeling we get. I call it causeless joy. In other words, nothing from the external ever seems to cause it. It just comes bubbling up in bliss. You all know what I mean. There have been times in your life, though, that you perceive that it was an outside cause. It may have been falling in love. It may be looking at beautiful scenery. It may have been seeing the birth of a baby. Many, many different things seem to appear to cause that deep joy, that sublime peace that each of us have experienced in our life. Now, as we begin to evolve in consciousness, the heart begins to absolutely experience directly this causeless joy without any external stimuli. It's internally generated, that's right. It starts to happen. It comes up as, I'd like to say, perfume from the deepest level of your own self. From your unbounded awareness, as you begin to tickle and ripple through that beautiful unbounded awareness of yours, that pure awareness, you begin feeling just this joy, this happiness. And if you were to look outside yourself, you would say, well, I'm just sitting here, maybe my eyes are closed, or I'm just feeling that, or I'm looking at somebody. You see, in most of the other levels of consciousness, in the normal state of consciousness, we look at a person, we experience a place, or a thing. In some cases, some people feel that when they buy a new car, and it comes and it goes. I'm talking about something different, something that comes from another dimension, and it comes from the dimension of your own authentic, pure, unbounded awareness, your pure consciousness. As I said, it's one of those things that each of us has experienced in life, but in lower states of consciousness, we project it out on a person, place, or thing. Now, in the past, we've talked about how we are conditioned beings, and therefore, as a result, we're operating and just experiencing and operating and acting out of our own past conditioning. I think we've kind of gone through that many different times. And as a result, we seem to be hypnotized into behaving a certain kind of way, I like to say. And when people say that, oh, I have free will, I'd like you to really investigate that. Investigating that, you see that most people don't have free will. They're a slave to the past, in essence. And then at a certain step in evolution, as we begin meditating, as we begin experiencing deeper and deeper investigation into spirituality, you begin experiencing something different than that. You begin opening up to this wonderful level of life. And it may only be for a second or a moment or just even a very brief period of time. But it's that area, that sublime area, that pure consciousness, that pure awareness that we are. It has no thinking in it. It has no intellect. It just is. But because the taste of it is so sweet and so sublime that it beckons us back to it again and again. And as we begin meditating longer, as we begin expanding in this awareness, then in the last email we talked about how that begins to stabilize. How that pure awareness begins to coexist with our existing life. As a matter of fact, our thinking, the origin of all our thinking, the origin of our feeling begins emanating from that pure awareness. Now, the pure awareness is not doing the thinking, but the pure awareness, another way of looking at it is infinite intelligence. It feeds the thinking. So as a result, our thinking, our heart begins to open up in vistas that we up until that point never even considered. We see life with a much wider comprehensive lens. And as a result, time begins to change a little bit. It becomes a little more distorted in that way. But also, we begin seeing it in this wider perspective, and we're able to make bigger and better decisions. And decisions that were more in line and more supportive of life. And in this current tape, we're talking about the heart. The sublime taste of the sweet heart. You see, the heart can permeate all of those. It doesn't have to move in such a linear way. You know, most people don't understand. Science verifies it, that the heart actually has many cells that are similar to the cerebral cortex. So the heart can actually do some thinking. Did you know that? That your heart, those feelings that you have, actually can translate in terms of helping make decisions in your life. How many of you have had that experience? Where you're just your heart. People say their gut level. I say the heart level. The heart level feels it. Should I go in this direction or that direction? My heart tells me that. And as we evolve in consciousness, the purity of the heart and its translation to decision making becomes much more supportive of your entire life. So an open heart is one of the hallmarks and one of the, let's just say, landmarks on your way to full enlightenment. You see, as the heart opens, we feel much more gratitude in life. We feel much more appreciation. I remember when I'd gone through a near-death experience, and going through this near-death experience, I actually entered out of my body, and I went down through, the legendary tunnel and saw my grandmother and my father. And as moving down that tunnel, looking back on that, or looking around, I had no interest in necessarily coming back into a body. It was beautiful, the beautiful experience. And all I could feel, and it wasn't in words, but all I could feel is this deep sense of appreciation. Appreciation is the key to the heart. Allow yourself to appreciate those around you. Allow yourself to appreciate the environment. Allow yourself to appreciate your life, because that which you appreciate will grow in a great magnitude in your life. And as you appreciate more, the heart begins to expand to levels that I think most people only dream about. It isn't about just being a saint. You don't have to be a saint to have that heart opening. Small charities, small giving, everything you can do in your life begins to cultivate that heart. That's the awakened heart. In our next email, we're going to talk about how the heart and the mind begin to integrate in a totality that builds something that many of you have only dreamed about. Full enlightenment. Where we begin perceiving the world, everything as myself. Everything as yourself. The world begins being, there's been this old expression, the world is my oyster. You are the world. Everything around you that you see becomes intimate to yourself. The trees blowing in the breeze, the cat walking in front of you in his fur, iridescent and fluorescent. Everything becomes alive and radiant. That's your future. That's enlightenment. Allowing yourself this deep level of peace. And that's more important. That deep level of joy and peace. That everything is all right. Everything is as it is. See you on the next email.